I need an ink pen. I'm in the Zoom waiting room for Judge Newkirk. It's 9:35. Court is today, February 12th, 2024. Scheduled today, February 12th, 2024 for 9:30 a.m.
You never screened for counsel, is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. The phone number you gave me didn't work. It's not correct. And then I tried calling Parker Schwartz in the prosecutor's office, and there's no answering service. Nobody answers the phone.
Well, that was the correct phone number. Maybe they didn't answer. I don't know. But
Okay.
Here, I'm going to put you in a breakout room to talk to these folks right now and figure out where we're headed.
To talk to what
the
folks?
prosecuting attorney and the guardian.
I'm sorry, to talk to what folks?
The prosecuting attorney and the guardian ad litem.
If I'm okay. Is that not something I should be present for?
I'm putting you in a room to talk to them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. Thank you.
No, that's okay. Mr.
All I've seen from her. But yeah. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, I need to tell you what I've been doing to put your mind at ease, and then I'm going to tell you what I want to ask to be done, okay? Number one, with regards to Catherine, no doubt in my mind. I believe her. I know this is happening. Dad said he had bad interactions with her. He does not want her back, so this is a no-brainer. Catherine is coming to your custody for an agreement, okay? Zion, you had a lot of concerns regarding Zion. Zion is very adamantly not wanting to come to your custody. I had concerns because you sent me over stuff. The brother did complete his probation successfully. He did everything he did. I had one evening where Dad raised an alarm for me because he had made an appointment with me. I think it was around 3:30 to be at his house to meet with him and Zion. And then I get a thing, something about Zion got held up at school, so I kept waiting. I stayed there all the way till 6 o'clock. And at around 4:30ish, 5 o'clock, I got a little suspicious. So after I'd been sitting in a parking lot for an hour, I was like, why are they stalling me? Is something going on at the house? So I actually drove over to the street and kind of stalked it. But it's not stalking from a guardian's point of view. But I was out there and I looked to see, nothing happened. Literally, Dad and Zion just never came back. And it was very believable. I called the school. Yes, Zion had gotten held up for an activity after school, and that is exactly what happened. That Dad did not lie. Then I did. Then the following week, on a Friday and a Saturday, took time, went out, and I did the same thing. I thought, you know what? Let me just see, because if there's drug activity, it's going to take place, on a Friday or Saturday night. It's going to come in and out at that time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said if there's what activity? I didn't hear it.
There's drug activity coming in and
drug.
out of the house. Those are the time periods it's going to happen.
Well, he's not a street pharmacist.
That would be the only concern.
No, none of the people he was dealing drugs with were ever coming in and out of their house. He's not a street pharmacist.
Right, but he doesn't have his medical license anymore, so there would be no other way.
Except for him to get in his car and go to his clients, which he does.
There's no clients anymore, is the point. And I'm not saying he's a street. The concern is, look, if the brother is leaving his house and going to the house of his clients and selling drugs to them, he can do that all he wants. I don't care in the domestic court. This isn't prosecution of the brother.
So wait a minute, but this is a person my son is under the constant influence of. And my son talks to me at length about all the things his uncle tells him, as well as his also criminally convicted father. So we're talking about my son's future. You understand, he is being conditioned into the ideology of criminology by these two individuals, which is never in the best interest of a child, whether or not he deals drugs in front of them.
Okay, don't overtalk me. I'm going to finish what I'm saying to you, okay? Right now, there is no evidence, especially from Zion, okay, who is saying that everything is fine and everything in his life is fine. It's fine. Okay? Not in
the documentation I gave you where Zion is speaking directly to me, both in audio recordings as well as in emails he sent me. So I don't understand why his own confessions, Zion's own statements directly to me, when not in fear of his father, is not also taken under consideration. Because we all know that the boy watched his father nearly run over his sister with a car. He will tell you that elephants are purple if that's what his father tells him to do, and has been.
Okay, let's jump to the get of this. I'm the complainant on this situation, okay? I can either just dismiss this case and it goes away, and the orders have Catherine going back to Dad, and I don't agree with that, and I don't want that to happen. Or we sign an agreement today that Catherine is in your custody and Zion is in his dad's custody. And if you want to file a motion on the third floor, you can do that.
A motion for what?
For Zion.
That is how we ended up here. We're already on the third floor. The third floor is who sent us to this court.
Is the case still pending down on the third floor? I didn't think so.
No. Yes.
No, it's not. It's not still pending. You'll have to
Yes, it is. The moment that this concludes, it bounces back to the third floor, just like it has every single time previously.
Is that what you...
Well, it would go back to the third floor if we have no jurisdiction here. So they would
go back. Pending motion is what I asked.
I don't believe so.
I didn't see a pending motion.
There is no pending
there
motion.
There is.
So we'll revert back to the old entry.
Yeah,
they would revert back to the
old entry. Yeah.
Correct.
The judge on the third floor is actively awaiting the verdict from you all. That's why we kept getting bounced back, because we had because the first guardian ad litem sat on his hands and did absolutely nothing for a year and a half. Then it went back to the third floor at the conclusion of that. And the judge looked at it and said, why didn't the guardian ad litem provide a report? Why didn't he do the investigation? And she sent it back to you all. Every time, and we've concluded in this particular court multiple times over the course of the last year and a half, every single time it goes right back to the third floor court. That is exactly what is going to happen. That judge is awaiting what happens here.
That judge is not awaiting to make a decision based on what's going on here. The
Yes,
judge
she is.
what it will revert back to is the last entry. That's the only thing. Okay, look, I'm not going to advise you on what to file.
I mean, I'm not talking about what to file.
Let me make it very clear. I'm not here to argue.
I'm not either. I'm telling you what I know from the judge.
I just have a quick question for you. We're about to go back into the court and get another court date. Have you completed your psychological evaluation?
That was long ago completed and sent to the appropriate persons.
But nobody has a copy of this.
The guardian ad litem has a copy of it.
What guardian ad litem are you referencing?
The woman sitting before you, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a copy of it?
You didn't send me a copy of the report.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And I can provide the email receipts for it if you like.
Well, why don't you just resend it to me, because all I have are breakdowns. I have a lot of emails.
Yes, I know.
Breakdown of everything. So forgive me if I missed a 4 or 5 page document in the middle of that, but I don't believe I did. But please send it to me just real quick.
Okay, I'll resend it.
Actually, if we can have that carbon copied and send that to the prosecutor, he's a party to the case and nobody has this, so I'm going to allow him to give you his email. If you can send it now, we're about to go into court, as that there is an active court order to sign that over to all parties at this time.
Hold on one moment, because I didn't fully understand everything you just said, ma'am. But Mr. Schwartz, could you give me your email address, please?
Yes, I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Okay. Let me see. Chat.
Ms. Henry, would you sign an agreed entry today for custody of Catherine to be with you, and just leave it with Zion and let this go back to the 3rd floor?
It's either that or what is the other option?
This case, it has to get dismissed.
Why?
Not recommended.
Why? Why does it have to get dismissed?
Because at this point, it just needs to go back to the 3rd floor. You guys only came up here specifically for it. The 3rd floor can handle those issues.
But they chosen not to, and they want you to handle it. So why would we do that? Yes, they did that. How do you think we ended up in this court? Multiple times.
Because nobody could afford to have the court order you to go do psychologicals.
And also for you to conduct the investigation. And over again, I've been assured.
Catherine is doing fine up in your home.
I'm sorry, say again.
Catherine's doing fine in your care.
But Zion was failed classes last semester.
Zion has straight A's on the books right now.
And I have the documentation that he didn't, because there's a certain place you have to look, but it hasn't been looked at. But I can provide that for you as well. In addition to all of the emails and audio recordings of my son.
I went to the school and got his school records.
They keep the records in multiple ways there. And because the school is on a special system of, what do they call it? I can't think of the name of it right now, but what it is that if a child fails a course, they essentially hold it and allow them more time into the next semester to finish the course, unless the grade in the course is of such a failing level that he has to repeat the course. So for instance, one of the classes he's taking right now is a repeat. He's retaking that class because he failed it.
I know, listen.
Wait a minute, but you said you didn't know he failed it. So do you want to know or not?
Listen, he's advanced. He's not even...
I know what he is. I homeschooled him from early childhood up until he went to his father. And when he was with me, he was 2 grade levels ahead and not just 1. So what I'm telling you is that he failed.
He's at his grade level. And I don't care how he gets the A's. He's got A's.
I care that he failed a class. And I don't understand why you don't care that he failed a class, or why you don't care that he was absent over 10 days, over a few months period, without accurate documentation of cause of absence, and with accurate documentation and confession from the child himself that dad simply didn't make him go to school.
Because 10 days to miss school is the least of my concerns in this case. Okay? I care more at this point about Catherine and making sure that
and you have to forgive me because I care about both of my children equally.
I'm not okay. I'm sorry if you just said that I don't care about Zion, but Zion is advanced. He is above.
And that has absolutely nothing to do with the trauma of watching being in the care of somebody you watch try to kill your sister.
He doesn't feel traumatized by that. In talking to him, he said he's more traumatized and cares about what he experiences with you.
And yet, in his own words, in emails and audio recordings of him, he says differently. He is telling you what his father requires him to tell you, which does not take a genius to understand.
Dad's not even around.
Ma'am, do you know why Catherine almost ended up dead? It was because she kept reporting to authorities like you the truth. Zion is not going to risk his life for that, which I understand. He's a child and he is in terror. And there is no way anybody, child or adult, can watch someone try to kill their sibling and not be affected, ma'am. There is no way. You can watch your sister laying bloody in a street and be unaffected. Zion is not a therapist and neither are you. So how can you say that he is unaffected by watching his sister have his life attempted on?
You want to know why I say it? And I'll tell you what. The child is advanced. He is not of his grade level. He is advanced.
His intellectual abilities does not make him superhuman.
Okay, you're just being argumentative.
No, I am advocating for my child. His academic abilities do not make him superhuman. Mr. Schwartz, he is a human being. His academic abilities do not make him superhuman. He is a child. He is a child. The fact that he is academically advanced does not make him superhuman. He is subject to, and therefore he is able to experience trauma from watching someone try to kill his sister the same way any other human being can. I am advocating for the life and humanity of my child. I was gifted just like he was. Where do you think he got it from? And his grandmother was too. That's how I know how to work with gifted children. That doesn't mean that I was impervious to the things happening in my environment or anything I witnessed. It did not mean that I was so superhuman that I could not be made afraid. Even though I can still speak Latin, even though I can still do that, it didn't mean that I'm impervious to trauma, that it didn't mean that I was any more or less human. He is still a child who is in the entire isolated care of a convicted criminal and his federally indicted drug dealer brother. You have evidence, emailed and audio evidence from my son, not from me, from my son, of him saying these things, of his own fear, of his own terror, that dad is making him say things. You have text messages from Mr. Henry, who in his own psychosis admitted to me that he was forcing him to say things. Told me he couldn't, and he told you he couldn't let you speak to him until he prepared him, prepped him for what to say. So this is not being argumentative.
We're here in the matter of Catherine Henry, as to Catherine and Zion Henry, 23JU11782, sit on a dependency today. We have Mr. Schwartz here on behalf of the state, Ms. Werner here as guardian ad litem, Ms. Miranda here as counsel for father, who is present in the courtroom today. And we also have Ms. Henry, mother, participating via Zoom from Michigan. Ms. Henry was given accurate information regarding screening for counsel the last time that we were present, but had trouble getting through to that line and has not obtained counsel of her own. And in addition, I believe there were some discussions had via Zoom with mom between counsel and mother. And today we're going to have to look at a continuance because it doesn't sound like there's any kind of resolution. You do understand, Ms. Henry, if we ultimately set this for trial, you will be expected to appear in person for that trial. Just so you're aware of that. We're not at that point right now, but just so you're aware. Ma'am, I will ask you again, do you wish that I appoint an attorney for you and assess costs to you for that counsel? Do you wish to screen for an attorney at 614-525-3248? That is the correct phone number for calling and seeing about screening for counsel. Are you going to do that?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I'm going to do that. Yes, ma'am. May I?
You're also aware that you're under a court order to sign releases of information regarding a psychological evaluation that was previously ordered. Has that been completed and you've signed releases and provided a copy?
I provided a copy long ago. Just unfortunately, our guardian ad litem has not read all of the emails and things she asked me to send her. She has it already, okay. And I just forwarded it to the prosecutor.
I'm going to make an order that the psychological evaluation be provided within the next 48 hours to the guardian ad litem.
I just forwarded it to the prosecutor. The guardian ad litem received it on November 9th, 2023.
Okay, well then that sounds like it won't be an issue.
She already has it. She just has to open what she's already received.
Okay, I did get it.
Okay, and Mr. Schwartz confirms that he has it, and as being the prosecuting attorney, would have to provide that in discovery to parties anyway, so shouldn't be an issue. Ms. Varner, and there's a TOPS order, so where's the agency?
Actually, I haven't really done anything on this case, but yeah, no, I don't know.
I should be here.
Well, they only have 2 weeks left before this complaint expires. I'll let folks figure that out. Ms. Henry, you need to contact them immediately after this hearing and continue contacting the office until you reach someone.
Yes, ma'am.
That way they can figure out whether or not you actually qualify.
Yes,
if
ma'am.
you qualify financially to have an attorney appointed for you, you will not be having to pay for that. If you do not, do you wish for the court to go ahead and assess costs so that you can have counsel going forward?
I suppose so, ma'am. I honestly don't know. If I give you just another reason to, as far my uncle passed away right here in my kitchen just a few days. We just came back from his funeral yesterday. And so we've been dealing with a lot around here as we've been wrapping up his end of life. I have this here. I don't know if you can see that. I can send any other proof of this event that you may desire. But as you can imagine, my daughter coming home from school to see our uncle on the floor trying to be revived by paramedics after I myself tried to revive him for over 30 minutes. It's been a lot. So thank you for the continuance, and this has been a huge contributing factor as well.
Sure. And I'm sorry for your loss. And it's just that we need to get the case moving.
I totally understand.
I want to just make sure that you're calling immediately after this to address it.
Yes, ma'am.
Once you have done that, we'll be able to verify that you've done that. If you qualified financially for an attorney to be appointed, we'll make sure that happens immediately. If you do not qualify financially, I will let them know that I'm going to appoint for you and assess costs to you instead. So you'll have an attorney either way then, since you're indicating that's what you wish.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I will give you another court date. You said the 26th.
Mr. Schwartz was in the process of giving me his phone number when they exited out of the rooms. All I got was 614-525. May I have the rest, please?
6342.
6342. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and then hopefully once you complete the paperwork you need to do to get an appointed counsel or a counsel appointed with a cost assessed to you, your counsel will be able to communicate with the other attorneys on the case and with you about where it's headed. So let me...
Honor, could I do a preliminary matter? I do wish that I am going to dismiss as to Zion only.
Well, we'll address that. We're not going to be able to adjudicate on this complaint anyway. So if the complaint is refiled, which I don't know if it will be or won't be, but if it is, then you can file it as to whoever you wish. I do want to make sure that the agency is aware that they are still under an obligation to be at the hearings. They have court orders. So I'm going to set this at 10:30 on the 26th. Nope, never mind. Can't do that. Sorry. Back earlier. I can do this at 1:30 on the 22nd. That's the latest date that I can set.
Okay. 1:30 on the 22nd. Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
I have a trial that afternoon anyway, but I'm going to try and do this beforehand.
I have a trial starting at 1 p.m. and
With
down
who?
on the 3rd.
floor. Okay, also, you're okay. The 21st at 1:30. This is why this would have been helpful to have today if we were doing something else. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The DR matter.
So that puts us later this week. Or are you just there in the afternoon or the whole day? 21.
I'm in.
We haven't got days to give you. That's really it.
If the court would be acceptable, I would be able to do Zoom in the morning. That is really to determine.
I think it's just valuable to have you here with everybody because Mom's going to have counsel at that point too, and we probably need to set this when everyone can have a full discussion. So I can tell you again the days that I can do. This Thursday I can set you at some point, but that would be with 1,000 other cases. I can do the 21st, which no one can do. I can do the 22nd. I cannot do the 23rd because it's a Zoom day. And then that puts us at the 90th day, the 26th. I could do 1 o'clock on the 26th. You said the 22nd you could do in the afternoon, but then can you take a break from whatever trial you have to come up here? It's a 90-day case.
It's Magistrate Wall, so yeah, I mean, I think.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said Thursday you could do.
I can do this Thursday, Your Honor.
Oh yeah, but it's really not. I really can't fit you all in. I am triple booked, quadruple booked at 1:30. I have, I'm double booked at every time frame, and I think that we're going to need a little bit of time for this. So that's why. And you said you can't do the 21st at all.
I'm open all day.
And I think that, but I think that Ms. Varner was the only holdup on the 22nd, correct?
No, she was out of county.
Otter County is a morning, but
Let me look at the 22nd.
I'm 26. I'm available all day.
I said I could do the afternoon.
I can ask the court to just take a break.
Are you here in the morning on the 26th?
I'm here. I scheduled a dismiss refile with you at 1:30. I'm in an ongoing, well, not an ongoing, I'm starting.
At what time?
I believe we are tested if we proceed. So.
At 1. But just FYI, this is why when I said it like a week or two, this is why.
I didn't realize it was just Miss Refile Day. I apologize, Your Honor.
I can do 1 o'clock on the 26th.
I can do that.
So Ms. Henry, 1 o'clock on the 26th is when you would need to appear. We'll have counsel for you one way or the other, but you have to initiate that process by calling that number immediately after this hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anything further?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.